Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. We have some interesting news to talk about. I did an upload prior to this discussing the the famous Chuck Schumer interview. It was on MSNBC. And this was in January of 2017. And it was a very, very famous interview where Chuck Schumer says, well, the wonderful Intel community has a million different ways to get back at you if you anger them. And it was really interesting because it was a veiled, kind of very bizarre warning or message to President Trump. It's really it's really interesting. What happens is this: they revel in they bask in the glory and the sanctity and the authority or the influence of intelligence chiefs. And they say, oh my goodness, we need these people to stop Trump, but that's not their job. Their job is actually never to be seen and only to help the current administration. And certainly not to spread dossiers that are purchased by Clinton or the DNC, which is exactly what they did. But here you have a really, really, really interesting event that took place just tonight. President Trump fights back. So he just terminated the employment he removed an intelligence community watchdog. And the way they describe it is who defied him on complaint. Look, the entire impeachment fiasco not only preceded this crisis that we're facing in terms of this healthcare crisis we're facing, which is monumental. It's not just it's like a monumental crisis that we can go into another time, just because YouTube policies, I don't want to get too much into the crisis, other than to say the heavy-handed responses. Let's just see how we look back at this and say, tanking the world economy and tanking the U.S. economy might not have been the best idea. But here, Trump removes intelligence community watchdog who defied him on initial complaint before impeachment. The president informed Congress the move in a Friday evening letter. And the way they spin it, because it's such a CNN and all of them are like, oh, under the cover of the current crisis, as if he was afraid of letting this guy go, like at any point in time. They already let Vindman go. I believe that, or they demoted him. So why would Trump have been embarrassed or shy about doing this? That makes no sense at all. Let's see. So he already removed impeachment witness Gordon Sondland. So Trump removes Gordon Sondland and Alexander Vindman in post-acquittal purge. What? Of course he's going to. What do you expect? The impeachment wasn't about any legal statute broken. It was all about the opinions of people who serve at the pleasure of the president. He never committed a crime. Hello, GFX Munoz. Hello. Thank you. Everyone, Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you. So President Trump, it's going to be so amazing when he wins and he defeats Hillary Clinton again, because all of this is for Clinton. It's not for Biden. But anyway, I'll get to that. You know me. I'll spend at least a half an hour on that. On that. But so he went ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and now he not only removed Sondland and Vidman, now he removed the Inspector General who was in charge of looking at the initial complaint. What the Inspector General should have done is completely ignored the initial complaint, because it was a complaint from somebody without firsthand knowledge and who had already spoken to Trump's direct political rivals in Adam Schiff and Democrats. But here, President Trump has removed the intelligence community chief watchdog Michael Atkinson, who was the first to sound alarm to Congress last September about an urgent complaint he received from an intelligence official involving Trump's communication with Ukraine's president. There should never be complaints from intelligence officials that don't involve legal statutes. There was no legal statute that Trump broke, ever. The articles of impeachment never listed a legal statute that he broke, unlike Bill Clinton. Oh, my goodness, I never lied under oath or obstructed justice. I mean, somebody up there just doesn't like my face. That is the issue. The issue is that this man, Michael Atkinson, should never, ever, ever UFO talk. It was nice. People think, the models don't make sense. They don't at all. UFO talk. The aggregate numbers. UFO talk. I agree with you. The aggregate numbers do not make any sense at all. UFO talk. The aggregate numbers don't make any sense, and I agree with you on that. The aggregate numbers don't make any sense at all. Todd Rubel! This is the cluster of our lifetime. We are watching the economy tank before us and blaming. Todd, and UFO talk, we had a serious health crisis that was addressed by the most draconian and heavy-handed and hysterical reaction. We had a serious crisis. People say, well, we should definitely look at what the CDC and WHO say. UFO talk and Todd Rubel. We should definitely look at what the scientists and what the doctors say. We should definitely take every expert opinion into account, every viewpoint into account. But to cause a global or a recession, I don't believe makes too much. In my mind, I don't know if that is perhaps the best course of action. When I have a headache, I don't bang my head with a hammer. So, vulnerable people should always, stay away from any precarious situation and keep safe. But for people who are now 6 million plus unemployed, where are they going to get money for rent, for medication that they need, for clothes for their children? What's going to happen to their lives? So, I agree with, I think that we're on the same wavelength. Teresa King, they always progress. Marie Ivanovich, that's Ambassador Ukraine. They always, thank God, he got rid of it. Exactly. Marie Ivanovich even stated that President Obama's own White House talked about the conflicts of interest that Hunter had. But see, this is all to muddy the waters and make everything morally relative, because Clinton is going to be nominee. You're talking about a really wonderful and brilliant megalomaniacal couple that specialize in very insidious political tactics. And they do so with the help of media and a whole bunch of people who voted for them. And it's like James Comey doesn't need to get a letter from Madam Secretary. He's on the same side. You know, you don't get a letter from Tom Brady saying, "Hey, please buy my jersey." You like the Patriots? Then, this is going to be really bizarre. He's on the Buccaneers now. That's bizarre, but I bet you he does really well. Tom Brady is, and I say this reluctantly because I was like one of the last holdouts on this planet. He's the best quarterback of all time. I'm sure that it might annoy some people that I say that, but he's the best quarterback of all time. Now, if you ask me who do I like the most, Joe Montana, Dan Marino, but I don't even know how did I get to Tom Brady? Oh yeah. Tom Brady doesn't say, "Oh, please buy my jersey." Okay? You just go ahead, you buy the jersey because you like the team. James Comey never needed a letter. He never needed a letter. He had one side that he was covering for, just like Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, all of them have one side that they're covering for, Marie Yovanovitch included. Then they say, "Oh my God, there was a campaign to remove Marie Yovanovitch." It's like, so what? These diplomats should just be seen and not heard. Johnson Kennedy! What happened to Mike Pence secretary? Was that the Mike Pence secretary, the one who, wasn't she an impeachment? Mike Pence secretary. This was during impeachment. I don't know. Pence aide who testified in impeachment inquiry. So she left to leave the VP's office. This is the thing. Look, you go up against Trump. You will get published. You will get a book published tomorrow. You'll go on The View. You'll have a great time. It's all good. So she left. She's no longer with Pence. Todd Rubel! Trump is going to... Todd Rubel! You know what? He's going to be good no matter where he goes. I just don't... They have good receivers there. So, Todd Rubel, thank you. Todd Rubel, thank you. UFO Talk. We live in a dictatorship of faulty models. Oh, exactly. Todd Rubel, thank you. UFO Talk, exactly. These models, like shelter in place. Yes. It's it's definitely a violation of constitutional rights. There's no way. Yeah, no, I agree. UFO Talk, the aggregate, and Todd Rubel, thank you. The aggregate numbers, the bird's eye view of all of this makes no sense at all. Then they give the false equivalency or the false, like, they say, well, you know what? If you are, you're either for catastrophe or you just want to make money. It's like, no, you can address a catastrophe and also still keep a livelihood. People have lost their livelihood now. If you're lucky enough to survive this and still have your livelihood, still pay the rent, pay your bills, feed your family. They're like, oh, well, you don't have to pay rent for a while. Oh, you're going to get a stimulus check. That's not, if people lose, let's say you lose a job as a waiter. I've never been a waiter, but I know waiters. You make tips, you you depending on the restaurant, you can make a lot of money. Okay, a job as a waiter could be very lucrative, depending on where you work. So if you're laid off, then that's a big pay cut. See, the left doesn't understand this. If you go on unemployment, it's a pay cut most of the time, a big pay cut. They're like, well, what's the problem? It's like, well, you're going to be making less money. Why do you want that? What's the point? You have 6 million people now. 6 million people whose lives have been upended. Todd Rubel! Hunter's sheltering into club. Todd! Now, Todd, that's not fair. He only spent about 1.5 million to 3.4 million. Just joking, everyone. Just joking. Of course, that's PolitiFact. That's not true. He was only in the club a certain time, and there was no. This is the way PolitiFact's like a dossier unproven, but still could happen. With Hunter, it's like, you know what? We have no hard evidence that hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent at the gentleman's place. So here we have Atkins' decision to set in motion the congressional probe that culminated in Trump's impeachment and ultimate acquittal in a bruising political and legal drama that consumed Washington for months. Yeah, exactly. It consumed Washington for months, right before the crisis that we have. And now you have Bill de Blasio. I mean, Mark Dice has a great segment on this. Check out Mark Dice today. He has a segment where there's like all these from Bill de Blasio to public health officials in New York. They're like, it's all good. It's no problem. What's the problem? No problem. Nah, we're not going to close down anything. This is like right when it's taking place. You have to understand, like, I'm going like bonkers here. There's no place to go. I'm doing my segments, obviously, but I want to, like, work out and stuff, so I'm doing all these creative, like, dumbbell routines. I could do, like, 10 sets of 5 reps of 50-pound dumbbell curls. Like, as I'm watching a documentary, just, like, all these different, like, back rows with the dumbbells. I have like a bench and then just like 50 pound and 35 pound and then 20 pound dumbbells. So I do like a million reps with just dumbbell curls of 20 pounds. I'm trying to like find creative ways to just do it. Actually is helping the ligaments and tendons. So, cause this is very funny that my shoulder was hurting before all of this, and now because I can't lift really heavy weight, my shoulder is now better. But why are you? Nobody's interested in me in this. Come on, man, you know the deal. You know the deal, man. Come on, people, now. Smell on your brother. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, you know the deal. You know the deal. Corn Pop was a bad dude. Bad to the bone. Bad. But you know the deal. Who doesn't have lotion on their legs? 'Cause sometimes they stick up. That's what I'm talking about. I have that problem too. You know the deal, man. Hey, Fat, come on now, people. Now, Fat. We have to make the problem worse than the cure. Come on. The cure worse than the problem. Time won't give me time. You forgot the word more bonkers. D. Velasquez! God bless you. You're awesome. D. Velasquez, hope all is well. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. About a jump rope too. Hidden for time. Thank you. I'm in the same boat. The run and sweat and then do many, many reps with lightweights. Exactly. I'm too sweat. AJ has a motivational poster of wearing spandex and in bold letters. She said, "Back away from the cookie." Yes! You have that poster too? That's a good poster. But except when I see the photo, it just makes me so ravenous. Makes me hungry. Oh my goodness. So Trump did it again. He's like, yeah, everybody who helped impeach me based on their opinion and not based on any legal statute. This is the clear cut. Okay, this is the checkmate of any argument for impeachment. They did not list anything to do with the Mueller probe, and they did not list a legal statute that Trump broke. So you basically have 3 years of Democratic Party history wasted. I'm not going to say U.S. history because they've tried to waste U.S. history, but President Trump's been the first president to step foot in North Korea, reverse U.S. foreign policy. They don't get this. I know people who are completely lost whatever marbles they had with contempt for Trump, and they try to project their outrage upon me. Oh, how could you? It's like, do you even know why? One of the main reasons I like President Trump? Well, it doesn't matter. He's a despot. No, a despot does not remove. A despot does not sign prison reform legislation and withdraw soldiers from foreign lands. That's what President Trump is doing. I don't think these people know what a despot means. They just stuck, and that's what I'm saying. Look, you know what? When you look when you look at what's going to happen in November, when President Trump defeats Clinton again, Democrats are going to react. I was thinking about different ways there. When Trump wins again, and he defeats Clinton again, imagine you're in the desert, and your time on this planet is dwindling, and you're just, oh my God, you're so thirsty, and you're in this desert, and you see just maybe 10 feet away from you this spring, this well of water. And you're like, oh my God, I found this water that can sustain me. And you go, and then you just take a whole bunch of water in your hand, and you just put it to your mouth, and you're gulping down this water, and then you wake up, and it's actually a mirage, and you've basically taken a cactus, and you have all of these needles everywhere in your mouth. That feeling. Multiplied that times 20,000. That's 1/10 of how Democrats will feel in November. I'm not even talking about Congress. So, but that's not even. They are going to go to a different realm of contempt, and it's going to start with they're going to be mired in basically blaming each other, and it's going to be the most epic. Monumental paradigm collapse, a collapse of their entire political world and reality will collapse upon them. The treachery will be too much to uphold anymore. So, anyway, I can go on forever with these things. I just look, and if you look at what's going on, and it's like right now, now they're trying to create this big investigative panel to try to investigate President Trump. It's like, okay, They tried to impeach him and remove him right before this happened. None of the governors who have states that have had the most problems even asked for ventilators or talked about masks or anything to do with the health crisis. Then they go after Trump and they say, well, the intelligence community told him. It's like, well, where's the evidence of that? Oh yeah, well, people officials who are anonymous. Like, well, these are anonymous officials. You have no evidence. You have no evidence. You have zero evidence that any of this took place. Zero evidence that any of this took place. So, I mean, that's it. That's the deal here. I mean, that's the deal. We're just waiting. We're just waiting for life to resume back to normal. Now you have President Trump, who's been proven right now about chloroquine. He's been proven right. And they're like, oh, yeah, I mean, like, this is so irresponsible of President Trump to bring up, like, these different treatments that haven't been categorically found to be effective. These different treatments should not be utilized by anybody until we decide it's okay. Well, let's see. There were scientists in France and China that said that this medication used for malaria could help with treatment. Not everyone. It might not help everyone, but it might help a lot of people. Okay? And if you're turning into The Fly because of this thing, like, you remember the movie The Fly? If you're turning into, like, The Fly, maybe you just want to try different treatments if they don't, exacerbate the situation. But no. We can't have that because Trump said it. If Trump said, you know what he should have said, don't use this, then the media would have said, use this. That would have helped more people. Now Australia is fast-tracking it. The FDA just fast-tracked it. So it's very bizarre. And I think that the really interesting thing also is that, God forbid, there's like a more serious bug. Like, God forbid, there's a lot, like a far more serious bug. You think that they're going to tank the economy again? There's like no way that you cannot do this every 2 years or 3 years. What if 3 years from now? So what? Every 3 years, you're going to have a $6 trillion bailout, $2.2 trillion and $4 trillion with. How does that even work? How does that even work? And you have the Durham probe that is continuing. And I mean, look, after the election, the next year, I would say August, when Clinton wins, whatever, takes whatever, what's rightfully hers, which is the Democratic nomination. I don't care how it happens. My ACL coach. Really? Who do we have? 13 errors, batting .220. I mean, yes. Good replacement. Okay. Whatever. However it goes down, who knows? It ain't going to be Biden. It's certainly not going to be America's never great Cuomo. America was never great. This is now America's governor. So you have Cuomo, who got federal funding and failed to ask about ventilators or masks or anything. Basically failed to prepare 20 million people in New York for this calamity of epic proportions. But he's America's mayor. Trump does everything he's supposed to do. And by the way, and every single step of the way, Democrats say, you can't do that. You can't ban travel. You can't do this. It's like, oh, okay, now they They're okay with it. And now they want to investigate him in this, commission. Well, they'll have, this another report. Again, another report. Trump should have done this and done that. And it's like, well, where's the report for Cuomo and Newsom and Whitmer and Inslee and all of these people? Does the federal government get to do a report on them? Do we get to investigate why they weren't prepared for their own states? Do we get to investigate why the Democratic Party impeached President Trump on issues that are not related to legal statutes? There was no legal statute within the Articles of Impeachment. Why is that? There was no mention of the Mueller probe within the Articles of Impeachment. Why is that? The Articles of Impeachment are a bunch of nonsense compiled by people who just don't like Trump politically. They weren't grounds to impeach or remove anyone. That's it. Adam Bomb 31458. I think that's a good Cuomo. Thank you. America was never great. We will reach greatness. This is what Adam Bomb 31458. If you listen to this speech, what happened was he was running against Cynthia Nixon, who was a Bernie Sanders progressive. And so to appeal to the Cynthia Nixon's voters, he was like, what can I do? How can I appeal to the left of the Democratic Party? Oh, yeah. America was never great. You like me. You like me now. I said we're never great. How are my numbers? Are they increasing? And then he's like, America will reach greatness. When? Okay. Thanks for the amazing sermon. Oh, brilliant Cuomo. He had with his brother, that was a great interview. It was like, you were stuck in the kitchen. It was so funny. Animal on 31458, thank you as always. Thank you as always. It's, we have, this month is going to be interesting. May is going to be very interesting. And then June and July are going to be extremely interesting. Because you cannot, let's say he picks his VP, who will be a woman. You cannot they're not going to go into the centennial, 100 years since the 19th Amendment in August. It's like almost exactly, Clinton will be speaking the day it'll be ratified. So Hillary Clinton will be speaking the day it'll be ratified in August, which will be, oh my God, the media will fawn. Oh my God, you've never seen more. The shimmy, what they did with the shimmy. Let me just read you this, okay? I'm going to read you this, okay? I fired this guy, Michael Atkinson, okay, the guy who started everything. What was that complaint? Was it from somebody that just doesn't like Trump? Oh, did he commit a crime? Oh, no, he just doesn't. Oh, he was going after Biden, right? Yeah, because Biden is such a profound political rival. Yeah. Trump would spend $400 million of his own money to go after Biden. Are you kidding me? Okay, so you know what? Everyone deserves this. We've had a long week. Let's just read, because this is what's going to happen, people. But hold on. So wait, New York Times debate sound off, Clinton. Okay. Yes. All right. Come on now. Don't make me pay for any. Of course. Oh my God. Okay, wait a second now. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me just see if I can do this now. Okay. This is an article. This is an article in the New York Times. September 27th, 2016. It's probably one of the best articles you've ever read in your life. Okay? And this is not even going to be 1/10 of the media love. Oh, of course, they want me to pay. Still, they want me to pay. Wow. Oh, my God. How annoying. Oh, no. No, good. Okay, good. This is what they're going to do with Clinton. Even more so, because she's going to be the nominee, but this is the love they're going to give. Multiply this times. I muted Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton during the debate. I still knew the score. This is the New York Times. Great journalist, great author, great writer, great publication. I have nothing but good things to say. And I say this, I'm going to read this with all due respect. All due respect to Clinton and to the New York Times and to the right. This is just, God bless them all, okay? September 27th, 2016. This is what they're going to say about Clinton again. Don't you want this? Don't you want this, baby? Don't you want this? It was a little shimmy of her shoulders, cheeky, insouciant, accompanied by a big, toothy grin. Her opponent smirked. She looked as if she was having fun. He, not so much. The exchange came as the first presidential debate was building towards its conclusion Monday night. What was it about? I have no idea. Per instructions from my editor, I was watching with the sound off. So, alone, no checking my email, no social media. It was for me a silent debate. Okay, so let's continue. They're gonna have debates with Trump again. They're gonna turn it off, and then they're gonna wonder why they lost. Okay, the idea was simple: to test the theory that what presidential candidates, in this instance Hillary Clinton and Donald J. Trump, say during debates is less important than what they look like while they're saying it. Okay. Hence our experiments. Can you learn about who won the debate by watching it on mute? It began, of course, with a ritual handshake at center stage before the candidates retreated to their lecterns. After the shake, Mr. Trump placed his hand gently on Mrs. Clinton's back. There were different ways to interpret the gesture. Was he being patronizing, trying to assert his alpha male dominance from the get-go, or just looking to demonstrate that he felt comfortable, relaxed, unthreatened by the professional politician? Whether involuntary or intentional, the signal was unmistakable. I'm the strong one here. Okay, so just letting you know, this is only like the beginning. You got to understand. This is only the beginning of, you're going to hear this type of article again. It's going to be amazing. The fawning, the praise, the love they give. It's going to be, Julio, you, that was awesome. So let's continue. There were different ways to interpret the gesture. Was he being patronizing, trying to assert his alpha male dominance from the get-go, or looking to demonstrate that he felt comfortable, relaxed, unthreatened by the professional politician? Whether involuntary or intentional, the signal was unmistakable. I'm the strong one here. Okay, it gets better. It gets better. I know this is annoying, but it's a catharsis for me. And either way, they were soon off, discussing the most pressing issues facing our nation, I can only assume. It will be no surprise to learn that Mr. Trump is loud, even with the sound off. He delivered 90 minutes of increasingly exaggerated pantomimes, announcing the presence of someone who is restless, impassioned, emphatic, and at times belligerent. Quote, no idea what he's talking about, but he's deaf going at it hard. Read my notes from the 1 hour mark. Don't call this man low energy. He has an extensive repertoire of almost manic hand gestures and arm gestures. The one-headed karate chop, the accordion, the patented cobra. The performance is so physical with the pincer fingers and the hyperactive eyebrows, the come on already shrugs, that there's not much work left for the words to do. There's no ambiguity in the message. Actions speak louder than words. Also, bring it on. Even when it was there, this is about the debate. We're going to look forward to this again. It's fantastic. This is about the debate that they had. Okay? This is about the debate. This is about the debate they had. Okay, this is why it's like everything is part of this mythic clash of good versus Trump, and they can't view President Trump in any positive light. So here, even when it was Mrs. Clinton's turn to speak, Mr. Trump couldn't stand still. He fidgeted, he smirked, he grimaced, he squinted, he adjusted his microphone. He grabbed hold of the sides of his lectern. He rocked back and forth on his heels. He pursed his lips. He threw his opponent a disbelieving sidelong glance. And then an eye roll. He shook his head. He appeared to interrupt her repeatedly. On one occasion, I could make out the word wrong. He took a sip of water and then another, licking his lips as he set the glass back down. He's more expressive while listening than most people are while talking. Oh my God, how could we have elected somebody like him? In the face of this continued turbulence, Mrs. Clinton had a studied serenity. Yeah, this is the best. Oh, we're getting to the good part. She has made no secret of her assiduous debate preparation, and I couldn't help feeling that she had prepared for the very exercise I was engaged in. Oh my goodness. She seemed determined to make sure that her body language and facial expressions didn't communicate frustration or irritation. See Al Gore in 2000, no matter what her opponent said, and she seemed equally determined to appear to be having fun. Whether she was or not, could this possibly be fun? She succeeded in looking the part. She appeared unbothered, even amused, by Mr. Trump's apparent assaults. At times, she looked a little smug, surely a lot smug to Mr. Trump's supporters. There was plenty of smiling, another product of debate prep, no doubt, and laughing too, presumably at Mr. Trump's expense. The suggestion seemed to be that we were all in on the joke. She had her hand gestures, as well as her version of the trademark Clinton thumb, right into... But she did little in the way of violence to the air around her. Visually, anyway, there was a discernible arc to the event, with Mr. Trump growing more agitated as the night wore on, and Mrs. Clinton becoming almost giddy with what she felt as increasingly like genuine pleasure. Visually, anyway, there was a discernible arc to the event, with Mr. Trump growing more agitated as the night wore on, and Mrs. Clinton becoming almost giddy, with what she felt increasingly like genuine pleasure. Oh my God. Which brings us back to the shimmy. The shimmy. The shimmy. Absent words. It felt like the most telling moment of the evening, a memorable instinctive reaction to what I imagine must have been a Trump howler. In that instant, it was clear the debate had produced a winner, at least to those of us who hadn't actually heard a word of what the candidates had said. Then they wonder why they lost the election. Mrs. Clinton had won. He had vibrated with an anxiety. Oh, okay. She had radiated cool confidence. He had seemed to be crawling out of his own skin. She had looked uncharacteristically comfortable in hers. A minute later, it was all over. Once again, the candidates came together. Once again, Mr. Trump put his hand on Mrs. Clinton's back, this time with a little pat, as if to confer his approval of a job well done. Mr. Trump's family came out to greet him, but they opted not to linger, exiting stage left, while Mrs. Clinton and her husband celebrated the moment with their fans in the audience. Yay! It feels so good to read that beautiful article. Can't tell you how much I loved reading that. And, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, H. Potter. What are we? Do you want more of this? Of course you do. Hidden for time. I love these. I love these bedtime stories. Why, you want more? You want more? Hidden for time. I got more for you. Hidden for time. I thought nobody liked my performances. Why Clinton needs to be two-faced here. This is a good one. Oh, I have a Rolodex of all the wonderful, wonderful articles. Okay. hold on. I have a great... This is also a great one, although it's not as steamy as the other one. Not as steamy, but just as good. This is also a great, great New York Times article. This is what we have to look forward to, don't you understand? You think they're going to go through all of this and not do it again? Come on, Nat. Come on. Come on. All right. All right. This is like before the Washington Post, like democracy perishes in darkness. The New York Times. This was when they were just fine with deception or, false statements. Why Hillary needs to be two-faced. New York Times. This is the same publication that is like, oh my God, Trump, he never tells the truth. Although this year's presidential race has not been a season of gentle ironies, there's one to be found in the revelation of what are alleged to be Hillary Clinton's closed-door speeches. After all the fuss they might contain, they show a warmer and more relaxed figure than the guarded, elusive, and sometimes evasive persona she presents to the public. What? The speeches literally set you to public and private face. So they then, no offense to them, only respect to the New York Times, the author, okay? Just as refreshing, they show a disarming candor. This is an article about Clinton saying to investment bankers that she tells the public one thing, and she tells the public one thing, and then she believes another. Just as refreshing, they show a disarming candor, including a candor about lack of candor. Just as refreshing, they show a disarming candor, including candor about lack of candor. Clinton's candor about lack of candor is the greatest example of candor there is. Politicians need to be two-faced, Mrs. Clinton supposedly said. The campaign has not confirmed the leaked documents' authenticity. If her frank critique of frankness proves to be more of a political non-event, as has been the case, there will be good reason. Most of us know she's right, even if we don't want to admit it. Are you kidding me? They obsessively and maniacally fact-check everything Trump says to the point of absurdity, taking out all context. Taking out all context. Then of course there's always the comparison to Abraham Lincoln with Clinton, Jefferson, Clinton, this is who I think of in addition to Abraham Lincoln. She's on Mount Rushmore, Clinton. Oh, I'd love to be on Mount Rushmore, preferably by face. When charged with Stephen Douglas with being two-faced, Abraham Lincoln replied, not with a denial, but a quip. If I had another face, do you think I'd wear this one? That's a good one. Citing his example, if I had another face, do you think I'd wear this one? Citing his example, Mrs. Clinton is reported to have said in a 2013 speech, you have to sort of figure out getting back to that word balance, how to balance the public and private efforts that are necessary to be successful politically. And that's not just a comment about today. Why would you need public and private efforts? You think Trump he's like, I want this to happen. This is Trump. I want this to happen. But the media, sir, they won't like it. He's like, I don't care. But the media won't like it. You have to be more strategic. No, I'll tweet it out right now. No, sir, think. And he's like, I don't care what you think. And he just tweet. He doesn't care. He doesn't even care. He's like, what's his name in The Big Lebowski? The Jesus, The Big Lebowski. I don't even care. He just doesn't care. Politics is like sausage being made. It's unsavory, and it always has been that way. But we usually end up where we need to be. It's like sausage. That's why. Madam Secretary needed a server because of sausages. But if everybody's watching all the backroom discussions and deals, then people get a little nervous. We can't bother the American people with that. So you need both a public and a private position. You need a public and a private position. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's my motto in life. Right. This is an article talking about it's in politics, hypocrisy, and doublespeaker tools. Do you believe this? They can be used nefariously, as when Mr. President Nixon denied Watergate. And then they go on. During his 2008 campaign, President Obama promised to televise negotiations over health care reform, but when the real work had to be done, the negotiators shut the door. Yeah, that's not good. In a study of defense bills in Congress, the political scientist quotes former Senate Arms Committee staff director saying, "Why should we do it in the open? It would wreck the seriousness of the purpose." I know. Why should the American people know where their tax dollars are going? They're just a bunch of peons. Who cares about them? Staff needs to give candid views to senators, and you can't do that in open session. I know. Why would we want to know the actual legitimate, truthful sentiments of our elected officials? No, but we can't handle that. We're just too weak as a people. Governing in the sunshine shouldn't be applied to everything. This is fantastic. This is what we're going to do. And then they're like, how did Clinton lose? Like, well, why do you think the media is so just not only malicious, they're rabid, they're hysterical when it comes to Trump? Because I'm reading the New York Times. Their reality is a different reality when it pertains to them. They don't have a set value system where truth is important. It's not important when it's their politicians. Then when their politicians are accused, I can't really always, you have to weigh the facts. When it's a Republican or Trump, accuse and and just go with the outrage. And so there's two different standards of reality. Then we have basically a lot, Mrs. Clinton's instinct is to overprotect her privacy and overmanage her image. This makes her less relatable as a candidate, breeds suspicion, and caused her a world of grief over her email. It wasn't servers with top secret intelligence on them for 4 years to hide communications. It's about email. And who doesn't type an email? Fair enough to criticize on those accounts. Yet give credit where credit is due. An experienced political negotiator, former chief diplomat, who, by the way, where were the accomplishments in 4 years? Was there any? Zero accomplishments. She understands that hypocrisy and two-facedness. This is fantastic. Hypocrisy and two-facedness, when prudently harnessed to advance negotiations or avert conflicts, are a public good and political necessity. What? Of course she can't say so, at least not in public. In our hearts, we know she's right. But shush, it's a secret. But shush, it's a secret. Okay. Yeah, those Russian Facebook ads really, that really swung the election. So, that's basically it, people. What can I tell you? What can I tell you other than we're going to do this all over again? Exactly. We're going to do this all over again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. To my super chat, thank you. I will be back tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. I try to do earlier uploads also, so if you're on this channel at like 6 p.m. in the morning Pacific or 5:30 p.m. in the morning Pacific, I should have an upload, an important one on everything going on, especially the Durham probe. Give me your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, thank you very much. Everyone, God bless. Just keep your eyes on the prize. November. It'll be an early Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, everyone. and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great evening. To my super chat, thank you. Oh, check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now.